Welcome back to the channel. Today I gotta carry off some the last load of these logs, and then I'm finished for right now. I moved to this area that I'm living in now, and I didn't know nobody, and I met this old guy, this old farmer. He was about, when I met him, he was probably 65, 70 years old. And so anyway, I borrowed a tool that I needed because I didn't know nobody out here, and a neighbor of mine said, "Oh, Mr. Reed over there, he's got that tool if you want to go over there and borrow it." I said, "I'll go." He said, "I'll go with you." So anyway, he goes over with me. We got started talking, and we ended up becoming friends and buddies and all that. I asked him one day, I said, "Mr. Reed, when'd you retire? Or who'd you retire from?" He said, "I didn't retire, I quit." I said, "Well, how'd you quit?" He said, "Yeah, I quit." And so I said, "Well, how did you do that?" He said, I retired or quit when I was 40 years old. And I hadn't worked since then. He said. And I got to looking around, noticing he had, he had a brand new tractor, had a big, nice farm, and all this and that. And then he said, the key word was, he said, "I hadn't borrowed any money in a long time. I've been debt free." I said, "Okay," I didn't think nothing about it. And then about 2 or 3 months later, we got to talking again. And I said, "You really quit retiring?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "If I was you, I'd start investing real young. And you'll prosper, you'll get ahead." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Does it really work?" He said, "Man, yeah, man." He said, "What you need to do is put you some money in the stock market and let it grow. Do a mutual fund, index fund, S&P index fund, whatever. And just leave it alone and let it grow. And every time you get a raise, you live off the minimum. And every time you get a raise, you put that toward your your retirement. You just keep living off the minimum." So anyway, I said, "But does it really work?" He said, "Hold on a minute." He goes inside, he pulls back, and he has over $1 million in his portfolio. He's a millionaire. I mean, and he's done, by the way, he's done passed on. Both of him and his wife has done passed on. They're, they've been buried for a little while now, several years. But anyway, so I went back and I told my wife, I said, "That's what I want to do. That is what I want to do. I want to be like him. I want to do what he's doing. I want to do that." And so that's how I began the journey of wanting to retire early. That's how I got out here and started hustling. And I hated the guy that I worked for, and he would give me advice as we went on, but I ended up doing exactly what he told me to, help me out to do, and gave me pointers here and there. And it was, like I said, it was real simple. And so that's how I got started doing the stump grinding. And about that time, my dad found that stump grinder online for me, and then I went and bought it, like I said, for like $2,000, and I started grinding stumps, and I would put everything I had into retirement. I mean, I would just, I paid the house off first, and then I went and started putting everything in retirement. Just hammered it. I mean, all I could get into it. So by this time, the people at work are starting to notice. They're starting to notice, and I made a mistake. I would go up to human resources and change my deductions. and I put down like 9 dependents and where I could get all my money back on my check, and then I would put it all in retirement. You know, I'd take the $900 or $1,000, whatever I was making that week, and I would live off my tree money, and I would bank what I made at my regular job. So I did it for years and years and years. I mean, I'd max out the 457B plans, the Roth IRAs, anything that I could do. That's what, you know, I would put the money into it. So after a while, it just, you know, it starts compounding, you know. So they started picking up on it, and I never met the guy, the CEO. He was just a nut job. I would walk by in the mornings and say good morning, and he'd just keep on walking. He'd just keep on walking. He was snobby, you know. He was highfalutin, you know. And so anyway, I come out of one Friday, I come out of the Human Resources office, and he saw me up there. We wasn't supposed to be on the 3rd floor unless we had to be on the 3rd floor. So I come out of the office, and sure enough, he sees me. He looks down the hall and he sees me, and then when I leave, I look back, he goes into that office. And he leaves and goes in the office, and 2 days later, I get called into his office. And here's what he says to me. I never met the man, never talked to the man at all. He don't have nothing to know. He don't know nothing about me because we ain't had no conversation. And he says, I see you putting 95% of your income going into retirement. I said, yes, sir. He said, how's that possible? I said, well, that's easy. I said, I have a tree service, and I have 2 guys work for me during the day, and I bank what I make here. And I said, I done paid my house off, and I'm debt free. And he said, you done paid your house off? I said, yes, sir. He said, but you're like 27 years old. Yeah. And he said, you're going to have to stop it. You're going to have to stop it. I said, stop what? He said, you're going to have to stop doing your tree work. Stop doing my tree work? Yeah. I said, but it ain't a conflict of interest. He said, oh yeah. He said, it would be in your best interest to do that. I said, yeah, but it don't have nothing to do with my job. It would be in your best interest to do that. So I didn't do it. I said, I left there. I said, I'm not nobody's girlfriend like in prison. I'm not nobody's girlfriend. I'm not doing it. So I didn't. I kept bringing my stump grinder to work, and I kept doing it and all this, that. And so about a month or 2 later, they called me in the office and said, you can't bring your stump grinder to work no more. I said, what about these other guys mowing grass and everything that works here? Well, we're not talking about them. We're talking about you. Okay. I got you. So this is, you know, just on me, right? Not everybody else. Okay. So that's how it all began. You know, how all that stuff got started. How I got out here, you know, for 15, 16 years now, full time doing this for a living. Hey guys, if you like the videos, hit the like button and the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.